This, as an influential radio host named Charlamagne the God says he regrets backing Biden in 2020. He told Politico, quote, "It's almost like Democrats are doing this purity test. America's not pure. The people of America are not pure. We're flawed. I'm not looking for my politicians to be pure. I'm looking for my politicians to be effective." 17% of black Americans support former President Trump. 20% said they're not for Biden or Trump. Let's do the quick math. 37% not in the Biden coalition. That's a big number.
Okay, so first I got to give you a little background on why this whole thing is happening. See, the migrant crisis in New York has essentially gotten out of control. The governor and mayor begged migrants to come to the city. If you don't believe me, here's that clip.
As you know, the Statue of Liberty is inscribed. It says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled young masses yearning to be free, the wretched refuse to a teeming shore." And that statement encapsulates our values. We want people to come here, despite where they came from or despite the circumstances that drove them to this country and to this state. We say you are welcome here. We are welcome with open arms, and we'll work to keep you safe. We'll not only house you, but we'll protect you. And the richness of the culture and the diversity and the food and the restaurants that we know are going to be coming because of these efforts are beyond measure. It's an extraordinary part of our story. And it's woven into the story of New York, and it makes us more vibrant. I'm from Buffalo's. The infusion of refugees from around the world has really made this community a place I grew up, a steel town. A lot of people left because they couldn't find jobs for a long time. It was the refugees from around the world that have made it such an incredibly fascinating community again. Same with New York City, same with Albany, same with Syracuse and Rochester. So our message to the world is, send us your people, send us those who need the cloak of comfort that we can demonstrate as New Yorkers with big hearts and open arms, and we'll provide a safe haven.
Lady Liberty sits in our harbor. New York City is the welcoming mat for the entire globe.
So now the issue is New York has a huge poor population. That poor population happens to be people of color. So when the city is forced to divert all their resources from people who are already living there, the citizens already there, to migrants, it started making people uncomfortable. Why are you taking care of these people? Why are you begging for these people to come here? We don't have enough money for it. And the city has now had to admit that and declare a state of emergency. The migrant crisis is so crazy that we need a state of emergency. We need help. We can't afford all these migrants.
The New York City Mayor Eric Adams declaring a state of emergency over the ever-escalating number of asylum seekers coming to the city. The mayor says the shelter system is overwhelmed and that after today, the city will set a new record for the highest number of people ever in the system.
So now, effectively, what the city is doing is saying, we're going to take the money that we were using for the poor people in our city, the actual citizens here, and we're going to give it to the migrants. We're going to give them housing and all this stuff. And the people who are living here, the citizens who have been here, so what, right? Now, those people happen to be black people. The people who were getting those services. So this all came to a head when we had a storm that hit New York. See, when that storm hit, the mayor decided to close down a public school and then use it as a temporary migrant shelter. Now, they closed the school for a couple of days, so the parents of those students had to stay home with their kids, right? It was like a shock. Like, my God, you're closing the school. I can't send my kids to school for these 2 days. I got to stay home. And that opened up this can of worms. Here's what happened.
Tonight, new outrage from parents over New York City's handling of asylum seekers.
Very angry. The city put our children the last. They're prioritizing the migrants.
After busloads of migrants from Floyd Bennett Field spent part of the night sheltering at a Brooklyn high school. Students there learning remotely today as the school cleans up the gym where migrants slept.
I found out about the situation actually around 1 o'clock afternoon yesterday when my daughter texted me, oh, by the way, we don't have school tomorrow because migrants are coming.
Okay, so the issue now is that people in those poor communities are now fearful. They're saying the migrants have taken all our government services. They've taken all this money. And now they're even taking our schools away from us where I can't send my kid to school. Don't forget, a lot of these parents, especially in poor communities, depend on schools as essentially daycares so they can go out and work. So those parents that had to stay home with their children that day lost a day's worth of work. And now Charlamagne is getting that anger from the community saying, hey, you're supposed to be, our mouthpiece. Tell them that this is wrong and that we want the government to work for us, not for the migrants.
So what they doing, they're sending all the high school kids to another school? Let me get that straight.
No, remote learning. They got to do it from the crib.
So they got to do it from home.
Yep.
Now, see, when I hear stories like that, it makes you say, build the wall. When I hear stories like that, it makes you say America first. That's why that rhetoric that somebody like a Trump spews or other Republicans spews, that's why it's effective. Because why do these kids have to be inconvenienced because of the migrants? Yeah. Middle of the school year, you just going to tell the kids, stay home? No, find someplace else for the migrants. How is that okay?
I was going to say that too. I was like, out of every place we could put the migrants, it has to be in schools. There's not any place else we could put them. And no disrespect, but they find money for everything else. We can't find money for motels, hotels, to rent gyms, gymnasiums, the Jacob Javits Center and all these big buildings. They find money for everything else, but you're going to take these kids out of school. And no disrespect, I think any parent knows that when you have to do remote learning, kids don't really focus on remote learning. They not focused.
And yo, what if I can't stay home with my child? What if I can't afford a babysitter? What if I don't have a relative that can stay with my child? How are you just disrupting me in my life for these migrants? How is that okay? And listen, I'm all for assisting any human that needs assistance, but not at the sake of disrupting my kids' learning and disrupting my life. And that's my taxpayer dollars that pay for the school.
Correct.
I want my kids in that school, not the migrants. I don't know how that's okay, yo.
Yeah, and heavy emphasis on they found this out day of. So this wasn't, obviously because of the weather, all of a sudden, but this was like a day of, hey guys, go learn remote.
So what if I got to go to work? I'm already getting my ass kicked, barely can pay my bills, barely can keep food on the table. Inflation is high. I have to be at work. What if I can't go to work because now I got to have my child at home to learn because y'all putting some migrants in the school? How does any elected official or anybody think that's okay? Like how? And you wonder why the rhetoric of build the wall and America first works for a lot of people. It's because of stuff like this.
Now, the issues, obviously, with the migrant crisis are simple. The state government and the city government of New York asked for migrants to come. We saw that earlier. And now migrants are there. And now they have to take care of those quote-unquote migrants that have come there. Now, what I mean by migrants are illegal immigrants who are saying they want asylum. And that's essentially what's going on at the southern border. So now you have them. But it's the people that rely on the government most who are now suffering because of these politicians. And will they continue to vote for the blue Democrats who are taking food out of their mouths, who are telling them you got to keep your kids home because we'd rather take care of migrants? And now Charlamagne and his cronies have to deal with the fact that they endorse these people, right? They said, yes, vote for Adams, vote for this guy, vote for this guy. And those policies are hurting the Democrats. Those liberal Democrats, those people of color in those poor neighborhoods are the ones suffering the most under these policies. You can name them. Defund the police. Migrants come from anywhere. Just let them come to the city. All of the policies that they're being pushed by the Democrats are hurting the people who they say they want to protect most. That is the irony here. And that's what Charlamagne the God, and I think all these people who vote for these people have to reconcile with. That's what they're reconciling with now. That's why now he's getting calls like this.
I honestly have never spoken to as many people who are concerned about the migrant issue as I have, over the past year. They took 2,000 migrants and put them in the school and made the school stay home, made the students stay home and do school via Zoom. And that was a big issue. People were calling the radio station, that was just this week, really, really, really complaining about that. So I've never seen, working class people who I interact with every day until this past year really, really, really expressed their frustration.
So as always, let me know in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about this. Now, to be fair, I don't feel sorry for any of them because even when the migrant crisis was initially going on, I was saying, hold on. It just doesn't make any sense to let everyone in. It's crazy because Obama knew this. Obama was the deporter in chief. He deported more people than Trump and Biden combined, right? He's the literally called him the deporter in chief because he understood that if you let millions of migrants in, how are you going to take care of them? Trump was also the deporter in chief, right? This wasn't about politics, but now, because we're in the woke world, we're going to try to take care of everybody. But the one great thing about having these ridiculous policies is that now the people who advocate for them have to deal with them. But again, tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section. Say, Nate, you're a right-wing lunatic, and I'll never listen to you again. That's fine. But at least tell me why you think I'm wrong in the comment section. Because a lot of times people will say that, but then I'll ask them, write something down here to tell me exactly what you disagree with. What did I say that's wrong? And you know what you'll see? Absolutely nothing. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all the great YouTube stuff. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.